Good day, Zach.
What's going on?
So, you're playing Calgary. You have played them a lot. You've been involved in some intense moments with them. I'm just wondering, how are you feeling about this opportunity and being involved in this rivalry now in the playoffs?
It's pretty exciting. I know everyone's looking forward to it. Two really good teams. Just got out of two hard-fought series, and it's not only big for the teams, it's big for the province. So it's probably the biggest series personally that I've ever played in, and I'm looking forward to it.
You and many of your teammates like to grind down low, possess the puck. They have defensemen who like to hit. What ultimately is the deciding factor in that sort of a matchup?
It's going to be hard. They're both well-coached teams. I watched a lot of their series against Dallas. They're a good team. They roll four lines. They play with structure. But I think we've shown against a good defensive LA team that we can play with structure. And when we do, we're hard to beat as well. So it's going to come down to a will. Obviously, discipline's going to be big. Both buildings are going to be high energy, so it's important to manage your discipline. Can't be marching to the penalty box. They got a good power play. It's just good. Like I said earlier, it's good. Two teams that are playing really good right now, coming out of two hard-fought series and onto the second round. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
This is a time of year where the hard edge guys can have a pretty significant impact. Why is that the case, and what do you feel like your impact can be in this series moving forward?
Well, you just look around, watch around the league. The physicality. It's not only the physical guys being physical. It's your top end guys. You look at Connor McDavid, Game 7, first shift. He runs over a guy. I think collectively as a team, it can't just be one or two guys. It has to be a team as a whole. And like I mentioned earlier, discipline's a big factor. So you got to be playing in between the whistles, but at the same time, you got to be finishing checks, because we're not going into this series, nor were we against LA thinking we were going to win in 4. No team makes the playoffs. That's not good. And every team that makes it, they deserve to be there. So we're going in with a mindset this is going to be a long-fought series. So those bumps, those bruises pay dividends later in the games.
So if you're Calgary, you obviously want to lean really heavily on Connor and Leon and all of your top guys, and you'll do the same to them. Is there a fine line to be walked between, looking after your guys, not being pushed around, but also being smart and not being drawn into something that would favor the other team?
Yeah, obviously you can't be retaliating, marching to the penalty box. You got a good power play. I think you got to be hard between. If you look at last series, every series, the good players are targeted. I wouldn't say it dirty by any means. Sometimes it gets out of hand, but they're targeted. They're the best players in the world. It's one of those things where you got to fight through it. Connor's a big, strong, tough guy, but ultimately it comes down to a team effort and a willing and a competitive edge, and you respond with another physical shift. But I think we can't be marching to the penalty box. I think, like I mentioned earlier, discipline's going to be big in this series.
How does Connor? Oh, sorry, we're not done.
I just was going to ask him one more about just the value of your special teams. They're both going on both sides, and in a series like this, where discipline and emotions are going to play a big role, how valuable could that be?
It could be a deciding factor. You look at the games, they're going to be close games. We're expecting them to be close games, so there's going to be penalties called. It's just the way hockey is. There's mistakes, there's trippings, there's all that kind of stuff going on. You don't want to be taking penalties, but it's a known factor. It's going to happen. So your special teams have to be good. Our PK is going to have to be good. Our power play has to be good. They just have to continue doing what we did against LA.
How does Connor or Leon react, if something happens to them and somebody steps in for them and takes a penalty? Like, I just wonder, are they the kind of guys that are like, I'm okay, you don't need to, or is it appreciation? I know every situation is a little different, but how do those skilled guys handle it when players like you do that?
Well, they appreciate it, for sure. It depends what time of year it's in. I think collectively, as a team, I think we've stood up for each other. I think I got hit in Columbus, and Connor went over to the guy and defended me. It's a team toughness. It's a pack mentality. Our big guys are big, strong, and can take punishment. You obviously want to limit it, but in a playoff series, like you said, they're going to be targeted just like every other top-end guy on every team. They're going to have to push through it, but as a group, we can respond physically. and do the same thing they're trying to do to us.
Zach talked a little bit about some of the adjustments that Jay made mid-series that really seemed to help the group. I know he's doing this for the first time at this level, but what do you sense from your head coach and the group's kind of confidence in him to know which way to steer things despite him doing this for the first time?
Yeah, it's when you're in a 7-game series, I think it comes down to a little bit of a chess match. Game one is game one, and then every game's so big and so crucial. But then once you're watching film, the coaches watch it. It seems like day and night, and they pick on tendencies. They can figure out stuff that might help us thrive in different aspects of the game, and then you make those little switches, and hopefully it results in good results on the ice. But Jay's done a great job. The coaching staff, all of them, have done a great job in series against the LA Kings to get us prepared and give us the knowledge we needed and tweaks we needed to maybe exploit them a little bit. And expecting nothing less in this series against a good Calgary team.
Zach, over here. Leon had an admirable game against Game 7, considering he certainly appeared to be hurt in Game 6. What did you think of his game, the way he gutted it through?
Yeah, he's a horse. I think he's a leader. He's one of the leaders on our team. Plays big minutes, plays in almost every situation. He takes face-offs. He does play in every situation. And you lean on those guys heavily through the playoffs. And everyone has their bumps and bruises throughout the series. We're respecting even more in this series. The further you go, the harder it gets. So we're prepared for it. But Leon has a lot of respect in that locker room from all his teammates and coaches.
What did you think of the scrum where Anderson pulled him down?
I'm not going to comment. That's past.
Okay. What are you expecting from Tkachuk? We always talk about you and Matthew Tkachuk. What are you expecting?
He's a good player. Like I said, I watched all the games they played. They're a good team. They're a good line. We're going to have to find a way to neutralize that line. But he's going to do his thing. We're going to do our thing. And like I said, it's going to be a will to win. Discipline's going to be a big factor. And we're excited for it. It doesn't get much better than this.
Thank you.
Zach, Zach mentioned that, Zach Hyman mentioned that it helped a little bit, this team, deal with adversity, some of the losses later in the year to Calgary. Was there a look in the mirror moment after the 9-goal game in Calgary? Was that a moment where maybe this team got better for that result?
Yeah. Whenever you get spanked, no matter who it's against, you want to have a bounce-back game. And we got embarrassed, and we bounced back. And I think we've showed perseverance all year. If we've had a bad game, we came back with an even stronger effort. But I don't read too much into the regular season, to be honest. As you guys can see, the hockey's completely different as it was in the regular season. There's so much more going on. So this is a fresh series. We're not looking on the regular season. We're focused at the task in hand and trying to beat a good team in 4 games.